much like Jeff, my Baylor story is one that was influenced and crafted by a Baylor professor who saw something in me as well. And going from Baylor student to Baylor alumni and now back to a Baylor professor in the Baylor in New York program, it's an influence that I hope to have on my students who enter my classroom. The Baylor in New York program has been around for 34 semesters. It just finished a couple weeks ago, its 34th semester. And its alumni have gone on to be executives at NBC, Nickelodeon, Netflix. Some have even been nominated for Oscars. Dr. Joseph Kikasola, the director of the program, has been an amazing ambassador for Baylor and Christ as he surges the program through the cultural capital of the world. My name is Benjamin Goff, and I also have a story of a time when a conversation with a professor changed the complete trajectory of my life, and I probably wouldn't be standing on this stage here in New York City without it. It was March of 2016, and I had just been accepted to the Baylor in New York program. But as the transition approached, I found myself leaning between anxiety and cold feet. I had never been outside, I'd never lived outside of the 90-mile drive between DFW and Waco. And so I was getting a bit scared. I decided to call my anxiety wisdom, and I decided to call Joe and say that I wasn't going to be able to do the program. So I called and I said, thank you so much for the opportunity, but this is not for me. New York is not my town. I'm going to stay in Texas because everything I need and want is right there. And Joe paused and he said, well, my condolences. This program would, we would love to have you. What will you be doing instead? And he just exchanged pleasantries with me. He never pushed me to change my decision, but he pushed me to give sound answers. And finally, there was a long, abbreviated pause on Joe's end, and he said, Ben, I'm going to shoot straight with you, and I'm going to be honest. This program was built for people like you who can make a difference in this city and this industry. This program was built for people like you who can make a difference in the city and this industry. I can't force you to come, but I think you'd be making a huge mistake if you didn't. I want you to take through the end of the week and call me back on Friday. So I took through the end of the week, and I called him back on Friday, and I said, okay, I'll go. And here I am 3 years later. I constantly return to this conversation with Joe because it's arguably one of the most formative experiences in my Baylor career, and I know that many alumni have one of those stories as well. Yes, Baylor teachers, they can teach us about the Constitution and teach us how to write a good headline. Some even help you dissect cadavers. Yet they do so much more. Since that conversation with Joe, I have graduated from Columbia University with a master's degree. I've started teaching in the Baylor in New York program. I even was able to meet and marry the woman of my dreams right here with Manhattan as the backdrop to it all. All because one professor decided to see something in me that I couldn't see in myself. There's an interesting idea here with so many art museums in New York City. And I'm constantly fascinated by the idea and role that curators play. No, they can't choose the coolest pieces or the sculptures that took the longest time to create. Rather, they choose pieces that inspire, so that those who enter the institution cannot be the same than when they exit. They cannot choose the most in vogue pieces, rather those which make you think. I'm intrigued by this idea because I believe that Baylor and art museums have more in common than we might think. Baylor has so appropriately curated a faculty and staff that is constantly speaking into and inspiring their students' lives to find their calling. My story is one of many where a Baylor professor spoke so intentionally and so passionately, not just about a career, but about my calling. Thank you.